Good morning, everybody. You are tuned to Computers 2K now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Edmund, your host for the next few hours, along with Nick.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning, who is in New York. Mike is here.
I am.
You are. And Spence is here.
Yes, sir.
And happy Easter and happy Passover to everybody. Our number is 919-518-9773, Computers 2K Voice on Skype. And today's show is made possible by vMix Software, Telestream's Wirecast software, and is sponsored by Tom Sinclair of Live Streaming Gear. So, Nick, you're in cold country.
Yes, my phone is on the other side of the room, but it's pretty cold here. Now, when I left Wilmington on Thursday, it was 78 degrees. And when I landed in New York, it was in the low 40s.
Ouch.
So it's been unfortunate.
Well, that's okay. You're going to be back to warm country pretty soon.
Very soon, yes.
Yeah, that's all right. So what else is happening, guys?
Slow internet.
Slow internet. You know, I'm noticing it also, and we're both on Spectrum.
Yes, we are.
No, AT&T's doing the same thing.
It's amazing. I mean, I can run a speed test, and I'm back, and I'm supposed to have 300 by 20. The up is never a problem. It's also always like 22, 23, 21. But the down is back to like 140, 160, 120, depending on which server you go into. Some of them are really slow when you do the speed test. I really think, I mean, I used to be getting 300 and 350 on speed test. I haven't seen that in ages.
As much as I hate to admit it, you need to get a fast laptop with a fresh build of Windows or Linux on it without a bunch of crap on it, connect it directly to the modem and do a speed test from there.
Well, not that I didn't do it, but it's not that much better. The only place that it is getting close to 220, 230 is if you go to the spectrum.net/speed test. So that goes directly, sort of like without any routing.
Well, now that's a good question. If you get pretty good performance at that site, then that means that you've got a peering issue.
Right.
And that just means the whole system's deteriorating as opposed to your local connection.
And that was what I was going to say next, was that we have this assumption that the internet is designed symmetrically, and it is not. And we are at there are major connections between different ISPs. The internet itself is not like this independently owned or managed thing that everybody is far. It's a lot of different companies connecting together, hopefully playing well and having interoperability between their devices. So it's who knows. I just did speed tests and I got 308 upstairs in my office. My modem is downstairs, and I'm
Wow.
getting 20 up. So it works good when it works. So ping was 15 milliseconds to, well, I can't, it's got a stupid Microsoft ad right in front of the screen. Back to test results. What did I connect to? Ellerby, North Carolina. Where the hell is that?
Nowhere.
Nova is the server I connected to.
That's good speed.
I got an ad in the mail yesterday from Hughes Satellite guaranteeing 25 meg down.
Look,
Unlimited, no caps, no.
how
throttling.
much?
I didn't look. It's not.
It's interesting
It's
to
not an
know. I
option.
mean, there are a lot of people who cannot get anywhere near those speeds in rural areas. This is great. If the
Probably $100 a month.
what?
It's probably something like $100 a month.
Yeah.
Their stuff's incredibly expensive.
But if it's the only game you can get,
Well,
I know this of the people whom I've spoken with or read posts about who have Google Fiber in Cary. I'm not sure I've found one who's thrilled with it.
I was at a customer on Friday who is having horrible trouble with her phone over Google Fiber. Just bad quality, jitter, just weird stuff. One-way calling. And she's had them in a couple of times and they can't fix it. And another customer earlier in the week said the same thing about AT&T. They had to bring AT&T in because her home phone line was breaking up. It was unusable. She left me a voicemail and it was like half of it was missing.
Looking at HughesNet's plans for 50 gigabytes a month worth of data, it's $129.
oh, so it is capped.
Well, it's just funny because it says unlimited data, no hard data limits. If you exceed your 50 gigabyte plan, stay connected at reduced speed. So
Oh,
they'll just throttle
yeah.
you down to nothingness, which,
Dial up.
yeah, exactly. So pretty much 50. You can buy it in increments of 10, 20, 30, or 50 gigabytes.
Well, I'm wondering what Elon Musk is going to do because there was a story that
Depends on how much government money he can wrangle.
Yeah, exactly.
Stay close to the microphone, Amnon.
Okay. Oh, I was going to ask you something about that before I go on. When I was having all these problems with the audio, the aux 2 on the mixer, all of them are at 12, except the Hangouts that's at 9 o'clock, and Computers 2K Now, which is off. I mean, all the way down. And I'm not understanding this.
Okay, the setting of the aux send
Yeah.
is also affected by the input level control on whatever's plugged into it.
Okay, the one the Hangout is at 9 o'clock.
It doesn't matter where they are. You can turn all of them to 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
You're going to be overdriving some of the computers. You have to go into the computer and turn it down.
Okay, so if I'm now here, it's at 9 o'clock. Here it's at 12 o'clock. Did anything change on my
No.
audio?
Not,
Okay.
Well, see, I'm not listening. I don't know what you're streaming to. You didn't change to the Hangout, which means if you think that feeds the Hangout, you're mistaken.
Oh no, I mean I know I'm feeding the Hangout because if you talk, yeah. See when
Hangout's got nothing to do with it.
when I fade it down, it goes away.
You're Amnon.
Yeah.
Are you talking aux sends or are you talking about the channel input?
I'm talking about the aux send in line with the channel.
You can turn aux send all you want to, and you'll never hear the effect of it because that is an output that we hear. You don't hear it.
I know
we
that's what I was asking you if you are.
and it did not change, which means that whatever you think is sending to the Hangout, if you
Interesting.
think that channel is sending to the Hangout, it is not.
Mm. So if I put it all the way up like that,
Turn it all the way up.
I did.
No change.
Okay. Well, next time you're here, you can explain this to me. I mean, I'm going to leave it where you had it. I just noticed it, and I said, Anyway.
So if you had put in the Delta 1010 LT card and properly wired all these things,
if my grandma had wings,
yeah,
she could
and had 15 instead of 15 USB cards, it wouldn't be so confusing.
So the Federal Communication.
Wait, do I look any different?
Yeah, why? Did you move the fader on your mixer?
No, I'm a ham now.
Did you have a makeup artist work on you before you came on today?
I'm a ham now. Nick wanted me to
this is great, Mike, because this is the perfect time for Easter to turn into a ham.
Oh my God, I didn't even think about that. This is fantastic, Mike.
Well, after I did it, I sent Nick a message. I'm in a panic because I went to the Ham Fest afterwards and saw all these guys walking around in these crazy hats with all the call signs on them. I told him, I said, do I have to have one of these hats now? And he said, no, so I'm all right.
Yeah, the ham community is great. Everybody's very nice, but some people take it very, very seriously.
You could have just written your call sign on your forehead with a Sharpie.
Oh, that's even better.
One. I could get it tattooed there.
How was the attendance?
It was mediocre. I would say the attendance was fine. The Ham Fest is not nearly what it used to be. Used to, you could go in there and buy enough stuff to start a manufacturing company with quality components. They've got people there now who are actually removing capacitors from printed circuit boards, putting them in a bin and selling them.
Well, I don't know why they hosted it the day before Easter. I think that was probably a bad play for anybody traveling. That just doesn't seem like a good day to do a.
I hate to be critical of volunteers, but the organization of the testing group was just pitiful. You walk in, they don't have signs where to go to sign up, where to go to take your registration, where to go to get your test, where to go to get your test graded.
Did you get your ham license so you could talk to Peter Strzok and Lisa Page?
I don't know who they are.
Those are the two FBI. You know who they are, am I right?
He knows who they are.
No, I don't.
No, the two FBI lovers that were talking back and forth over text about the conspiracy within the FBI and how she decided to get her ham license so they could talk over ham instead of she actually got it during this whole controversy.
With everybody in the community listening.
Well,
because the private
they would be anonymous then, so they could be just whatever.
It's illegal to be anonymous.
It is. It is.
So anyway, I don't have a call sign yet. The FCC has to send it. One thing that I noticed when I got home, they asked me if I had an FRN or whatever that is from the FCC. Apparently, you were supposed to go to the website, FCC website, sign up for an account, and bring them that number. But their materials did not make that clear to me up front. I don't recall reading it in any of the materials that I reviewed for the exam.
That must be a new thing. When I took my test, I just took the test, and then the VEs drove it actually to the ARRL headquarters over in Connecticut the next day and submitted it through the FCC.
They just recommend it because everywhere I went, they asked for it. They asked me to go ahead and take the general test because I did so well on the technician thing, but I hadn't studied for it, so I declined to do so. And out of curiosity, I came home and took a practice general test, and I would have flunked it.
Yeah, the general test is tough. Really, it's a lot of.
It's not tough.
Well, it is. It
is not.
Not for you, Mike.
Compared to
tough even for Nick.
Compared to the technical exam, it's a much tougher exam. The technical one is all theory and put a hard hat on before climbing a tower, and the other one is actual radio knowledge, lengths of bands and stuff like that.
Which one is technical?
What do you mean?
I think that's the third one. That's the technical one, right?
Maybe I've got my ones
I think you
mixed
got
up.
them backwards because they told me the general is almost the same study guide as the technician.
I thought the general was the third one.
I mean, I got 60-something% on the general without ever even cracking the book on it.
I think I've got my numbers mixed up
I
there,
think
or my
so. They say that the
classes.
advanced one, there was one guy there who took, I think it was the advanced. He came up and said, "Sorry, Mr. Smith, you didn't do very well at all."
Yes, it is. Okay, so it's technician general advanced.
Well,
I think.
amateur extra. I'll look at it, but I mean, what could it be? I've got an FCC first class / general radio class license. That was elements 1, 2, and 9. I ought to, of the broadcasting group. I ought to be able to pass the extra.
The amateur extra is an all amateur band privilege license.
Why do I even need a general? Why do I need a technician? But why do I need a general?
Well, that's why I haven't bothered to get one yet. Everything I do is low power 2 meters, so there's for me there's been no point to get a general, unless you're screwing around with HF, which I can't because I'm not licensed and I don't have the equipment to do anyway. So.
And moreover, I mean, my wife is the one pushing this because she and Nick are into weather and who knows what else. But the point being that if there's a national calamity, the FCC is not going to be out fining people for talking unlicensed on ham radios.
That is true.
Mm.
So, but it's interesting. I mean, I thought about, I mean, when I'm sitting there looking at these people struggling with that test, it just bugs me because I guarantee you I could teach anybody to pass the test if they're willing to work hard enough.
What's the format of the test?
35 multiple choice questions. And they already give you the answers. I can send you a link where every question and every answer is there.
I mean, I don't know that these days you really need to know if you're going to put an antenna, to put a post here and a tree there and strand the wire this way. And I mean, if you want to do it, then learn about it. Otherwise, it's not going to work. It's just like in the days of CB. I mean, you had to get the SWR correct. But if you didn't know how to do it, your radio will not get far. It's not like they made you learn how to do it. You learn how to do it if you wanted to optimize your setup. So I think they should do the same thing here with this. But this is how they keep riffraff off the air.
So let me ask you 2 questions, since you're so smart. Let me see how you would do on the test. What is the ratio of standing waves that is ideal?
For an
antenna and transmitter combination.
I don't know if it's different on shortwave, but I know on
1 to 0, 2 to 0, 4 to 0, or 10 to 0.
The 0, 0.
There is no 0, 0.
Well, I mean the lower. So
the lowest SWR is what you want.
Right.
What is
the lower? The lower, the better. And you see, and here it is, Mike. Here's my whole point. You just made it. I don't need to learn what it is. All I need to have is the meter and know how to use it, and adjust the antenna. So when I switch it to SWR, it goes lower, and I adjust the antenna and do it again.
You're missing my point. I asked you the answer. If you're going to pass the test, you have to pick.
Oh, yeah, no, I understand. Yeah, so
get it wrong.
The lower you get it, the better off you are.
Well, the ideal is 1 to 1. It means it's a perfect match. Anything more or less than 1 would not be a perfect match mathematically. So here's the next question. So then, since you got that one right, the next question is, at what level do most radios start limiting the output power? At what standing wave ratio do most radios start limiting the output power? And that's what it's saying here is, this is where the technical explanation is helpful, is, well, Alan says it, where does your radio start overheating? And what that means is there's too much power getting quote unquote stuck in the coax instead of being delivered to the antenna, so therefore it backs up into the radio.
Right.
At what standing wave ratio do most, and this is the test question. I'll tell you this, that Alan's answer is wrong for the test question. His answer is technically correct, or close. It's an approximate number, but on the test If they say, at what level of standing wave ratio do most radios start compensating for the overly high standing wave ratio?
I don't know.
That's my point. See, technically, you could probably guess at the answer if you understood the technical part of it, but unless you've read the exam information and learned what answer they are looking for, you don't know that it's 2 to 1. That's just a number. You have there's no intuition except that it's more than one. But is it 1.5? Is it 2? Is it 2.5? Is it 3? And the exam says it's 2 to 1.
But and to kind of illustrate how easy the exam can be, depending on what questions you get, one of the questions is which agency regulates and enforces the rules for the amateur radio service in the United
The
States?
EPA.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The FEMA is one of the answers.
I thought it was Planned Parenthood.
So I've since I took my exam, it's been about 2 years. I've highly recommended anybody get their ham radio license. It's not hard to take. Just there's a guy that does a free study guide. It's a PDF. It's probably 90 pages, and he goes through all of the. He goes through the study guide.
39 content.
I don't even remember. It's been so long. Did you use that guide, the free ham study guide?
But I missed 2 questions, and if I had used what I now know to use, I wouldn't have missed those 2. The 2 people in front of me I got 100%.
Yeah, I think I got 1 or 2 wrong when I took my. You can get up to 4. It's 20 questions, right?
35.
35. Yeah, I don't remember how many you can get wrong. 6 or something. No, okay.
Yeah.
So it's not impossible to pass.
The problem was that I got up. I woke up yesterday morning, and I woke up too early. And I said, well, I don't know if I'm going to go do it today. I haven't had time to really go through the materials. But I went, not only had I not gone through, I went and picked up the study guide and noticed that 10 pages had gotten out of order, and I hadn't even looked at them. So I said, what the heck?
Yeah, so there's a guy that does a free ham study guide. I don't remember the name of it. But you could just search for ham radio technical study guide. He's done one, and he goes through, and it gives it's a regular study guide, and when the test question is involved, it's highlighted, and it kind of guides you through taking the.
It depends on how you learn. See, all the questions are available. You can go through. You can get every one of the questions and every one of the answers. If you've got a pornographic memory, you can read the question and the answer and go take the test and pass it. You don't even have to know Ohm's law. And there was not a single Ohm's law question on my exam.
See, I had 3 on mine.
I wish it had been 30 of them. I would have knocked it out.
We had to take a test when we were applying at IBM back in the 70s, and it was a good thing that I knew a lot of this stuff. I wrote Ohm's law questions on the test. It was a pretty comprehensive test. That it was high school electronics that made me remember it. It was a good thing.
The problem is people get freaked out over things that they shouldn't get freaked out over. And I know that whenever you've been doing this stuff as long as I have, and you talk to people about Ohm's law and they start getting misty-eyed, it's kind of hard to relate. But I get it, because they could start talking about things that I'd get misty-eyed over that don't know anything about and don't have any interest in. But Ohm's law is just arithmetic. And one of the things that people don't realize when it comes to Ohm's law, whether it's for power, voltage, whatever, all you have to learn is 3 formula. 3 formula. You can derive every other one from that. And once you learn those, then so all the derivations, there are like 9 altogether. And it says solve for. You have to learn how to manipulate an equation to get the variable you're trying to solve for on the left side of the equation. Oh no, I can't do it. No, stop a minute and think about it. If you want to think about it, then if your memory's good, memorize it. But it's just not complicated. And strangely enough, the one that'll get you typically about 3 or 4 questions on some of the tests is the formula C is equal to F lambda. And once you know what everything in that equation means, there will be which one of these frequencies is in the 23 centimeter band. Well, let's see. Let's figure out the wavelength of each one of these numbers And whichever one is close to 23 centimeters is the one that's the right answer to the question. You don't have to memorize what the bands are. You can calculate it. So yeah, Arnie just posted that KB6NU study guide. But I'm going to tell you guys two things to keep in mind. Number one, the test changes on July 1st, and it's got a new set of questions. They're already available. If you're going to take it after, and you're going to take it after July 1st.
Is it the new everybody gets a trophy version?
Well, apparently not. They were sending people out with bad feelings yesterday.
Well, I wish that all they had there was just Morse code, like they used to, and then I would have no problem.
Or CW, as it is also called. But it's an interesting thing. They give the general, and they give all the tests in Fuquay, which is not far from Amnon, Spencer, or me. They give it the first Sunday of every month down there. I'll tell you also, though, that one of the things I didn't know is that you pay for a test sitting. You can take all 3 tests one day for one cost if you want to. Once you take the first test, anything after that is free in that sitting. If I'd known that, I probably would have studied. Well, I probably wouldn't, because I didn't really study for the technician.
How much was it?
It was only $14.
Huh.
But still, if I go take the general, which I don't know that I would, but if I go take the general, it's another $14 and a drive to Fuquay.
That's okay. Is the local club getting that money?
I have no idea how they do it. There are about 14 local clubs, it seems. I know there's one South Wake. There's RARS, which is Raleigh. There's probably 2 or 3 more, but I know there's one in Durham. And so I don't know. They're all over. It seemed to me like they'd want to work together, but some of the one in Fuquay, I believe, has like 110 members.
Well, it's interesting that they're only charging 14 for the test because
15. The RARS was 14, but the one in Fuquay is 15.
Yeah, so as Arnie is saying, the test for them to submit the license request to the ARRL, it's $14 or $15. So they're not, if they're making anything, it may be $1 or $2, which is surprising.
The South Wake Club is funding a repeater on Channel 5's tower. That's not cheap.
No. I mean, that's the thing with these. I mean, they get money from well, and a lot of it is old equipment. For example, I went to a meeting, and there's actually one coming up, I think next week or the week after, down in Wilmington. I think it's called the Azalea Coast Repeater Society, and they were fortunate. They were just given a big amplifier by the I think the police, the New Hanover Police company down there, that they were getting rid of some old equipment on there for their cars, for their radio system, and they were able to get some equipment from that. So it's either donation or they get stuff at discounted rates from some
repurposing.
Of the repurposing or stuff like that.
Yeah, but I mean,
when I was in high school, I was part of the AV team, and we actually had a television station in our high school that was low power UHF local education television, and the studio was in the basement of the high school, and we would actually put out shows on 2-inch tape. That was kind of fun for a high school student to be messing with this stuff. But they would go to auctions, government auctions, and come back with pallets of stuff. They had to buy the whole pallet just to get one thing. So we wound up getting the craziest stuff, Army Signal Corps radio stuff. Who knows what the vintage was? This was 1973. And like a Navy jukebox from a submarine, like the tabletop jukebox version where you have the small controller and then the jukebox sits in a remote location, and all kinds of radio gear that we had no idea what it was. We were encouraged to play around as long as we didn't fry ourselves.
It was all for sale at the Ham Fest yesterday.
Yeah,
all of it.
Yeah, I was the AV team in my high school.
It was, what? Besides getting ragged on, it was awesome.
Why would you be ragged on?
We were allowed to. We had access to videotape machines. We were making our own shows. We had old Stromberg Carlson what I don't know what the console producer console, and a bunch of cameras. I mean, they were pro cameras. They were black and white, but they were pro, and
Yeah,
we had a great time.
But I'll tell you what I did. I've told the story here before, but we had a big voice of the theater system in our auditorium in my high school, and for some reason it sounded very tinny. Nobody knew how to use microphones. They had real cheap Electro Voice microphones that were not professional models. Whenever we would do an event there, I think it probably started with the Miss Laurenberg pageant, so they asked me to do the audio for it. And of course, I had cart machines to play the music for the girls, and also had decent microphones. But one little trick that I did was Shure used to make a little rack mounted, I think it's an M263 tone control. It's just a really simple RCA in out device. And all I would do is put it in series, the tone control, because the equalization in the room was horrible. And all I'd do is just add a little boom and sizzle. And these people were saying that it was just tremendous. So that made me the AV guy for the high school. And what was good about it is if I wanted to leave and go somewhere, I'd go to the principal and I'd say, Mr. Sullivan, would you mind if I didn't? Nope, you go right ahead.
Yeah, we got access to the basement, which was off limits for everybody else. That was fun. We go down there and there were all kinds of civil defense stuff stored down there that we were picking through. And yeah.
All right.
Hang on.
Let's switch.
Hang on. Arnie was asking about this. I don't know if you
Okay.
can see it. Part of this is the one that I've had for 100 years. Where is this thing here?
Yeah.
Oh,
We
yeah,
see it.
you can see it. Sort of.
No, tilt it back a little bit again. No, sorry.
It's first class license.
Yeah.
It's now called General Radio Telephone. The see right here, wherever it is. See the radar endorsements, none. When I got this back in 1844, we could go through and get what was called the radar endorsement, which was just probably another hour's worth of studying. And I said, no way I would ever need a radar endorsement. And I am really happy I never did it, because it would have been a waste of time. So anyway, this is back in the old days. This was the license you had to have to be able to work on an FM transmitter. I mean, a radio station transmitter, which I did an unfortunate amount of. And the other thing, from what I could tell, I did some research that these things are really of no value anymore, except that it turns out that this license may still exist, and it's necessary to be able to work on radios at airports. So how was the test, Arnie? I was 16 years old. I thought it was pretty tough.
Mike, you should have gotten a radar endorsement. You could have been a professional witness at traffic court.
I still can.
To debunk radar.
I'm just as qualified as all the rest of the morons testifying on those things.
Debunk.
So no, it was pretty tough for 16 years old.
I looked at it then, and I had friends who were just getting started with third class, and I studied for third class, and then somebody showed me what it was like to go to first class, and I said, nope, thanks.
Well, I had an interesting story since we're on it. I got my first class license my third class license in 1963. I was 9 years old. I was the youngest person ever to get, at that time, a third class license. And the reason I did is because I knew about it, but at that time, the FCC required that you be 16 years old to get a license. And out of stupidity, I sent the FCC a letter, because we had our own radio station. You had to have the license to be in charge at that point. And I said, look, I need this license to be able to be in charge of the station as I get older and so forth. And they wrote back and said, okay, exception granted. Unbeknownst to me, they were getting ready to either eliminate or change the age requirement. So my timing was just very fortunate.
Okay.
All right, that's all I got.
I've got something interesting. I don't know if you want to jump into tech stuff first. I've got
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, go ahead and do some stories. I've got something later on I want to come
All
back
right.
to.
So here's something we can chew on. Last week, a user found that Facebook had a record of the date, time, duration, and recipient of calls he had made from the past few years. A couple days later, Ars Technica published an account of several others, all Android users, who found similar records. Now, Slate magazine is reporting that Facebook has acknowledged that it was collecting and storing these logs, attributing it to an opt-in feature for those using Messenger on Facebook Lite on an Android device. The company did, however, deny that it was collecting calls or text history without a user permission. And it says, this helps you find and stay connected with the people you care about and provides you with a better experience across Facebook. Really. The company said in a post on Sunday. Now, people have to expressly agree to use this feature. We introduced this feature for Android users a couple of years ago. Contact importers are fairly common among social apps and services as a way to more easily find the people you want to connect with. And I read it and I said, wow, how timely. I bought something on eBay last week. I paid for it with PayPal. Before I got the email that PayPal sends you, there was a pop-up on my monitor, and it says, Facebook is notifying you that you just paid with PayPal. I said, Facebook? And I remembered that I saw these before. So I went into my PayPal profile, spent about 20 minutes, no way to find something like that. Went on Facebook, nowhere to find, and it has to do with Messenger, just like they're talking about here. So I went ahead and I called PayPal. And I said, here is the story, guys. I don't understand where they're getting this information. In my opinion, and in the way I want it, they have no business to know what I'm doing with PayPal or on eBay. And you guys are the only ones who can give them this information. So I want it stopped. So he said, let me look. And he looked and he said, well, eBay is actually doing this. I said, okay, I'll talk to eBay. So he transferred me to eBay. And the girl came online and we talked, and she said, Mr. Nissan, I don't see anything like this in your account. At that point, I was actually reading word for word on Facebook. Was it on Facebook? Yeah, on Facebook, that message. And it says you agreed to allow PayPal to do this. I said, okay. I told the girl, I'm sorry. I see here that it says that it is actually PayPal. So let me call them again. So I called again and talked to somebody, and I explained that I was just transferred. And if you guys don't know what's going on, then you need to learn. But this says that I allowed you to do this with Facebook. He said, let me go find out. So he went. A few minutes later, he came back. He said, okay, you need to get in, and don't ask me where it was, because he went round and round. Every place he told me to go to, he said, oh, they changed it. Oh, they changed this. Oh, they changed that. Finally, we got to a place where it had the PayPal and Facebook connection. And he said, just uncheck it. I said,
this is just the beginning of this story, because there's so much stuff coming out now. You saw the Facebook memo story?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just to say, so we connect more people.
Right.
that can be bad if we make it negative. Maybe it costs a life by exposing someone
Yep.
to bullies. Maybe someone dies in a terrorist attack coordinated on our tools. But we just connect people, so that's
Right.
all.
That's all we
don't
do.
care.
We connect people.
We're just here to connect people. What happens with that connection is not up to us.
It's amazing what they're
We
getting
don't have,
their
we don't have any
business into. I mean,
liability doing it.
so
Amazing.
there
We
is
connect people, period.
there is such a thing as Facebook Messenger, but you can't turn it off. Now, I do have a Facebook account, but I am not using Facebook. I'm not the person who gets there and lives on Facebook. So I don't want any of that stuff. And there is no clear way how to do away with it. I could not find how to disable, shut down Facebook Messenger.
And Amnon, I was just thinking about it. Was reading comments about how people are saying that this thing that leaked out from Facebook was this is a good thing that they're talking about this. He said, well, that's fine, but you need to, number one, disclose it.
Yeah.
And number two, give people a way to opt out of it. That's what was missing, is disclosure and an opt out. They can do whatever they want. It's a private company. They can collect and sell and print it on, put it up in Times Square.
Absolutely.
If they don't tell you about it, that's the problem.
And and with the CAN spam rules for email servers, they tell you if it doesn't have a way that people can opt out on each message, it is spam. It has to have a link at the bottom of any, I mean, it's an oxymoron, legitimate spam
to unsubscribe.
to unsubscribe.
Yeah.
Now, whether it works or not, or in the early days, I remember we were saying that if you unsubscribe, that just tells them that you are a real person, so now they put you on another list and all. Right. But the thing is, over here, there was a way to stop it, but there was no way that I could get to it myself. Even the rep at PayPal didn't know how to get. He had to keep going back and forth to find out how to get to it. So, this is a problem. I mean, these guys are getting everything about us, and we can't do anything about it.
Well, you know what? Like I said, the fact that we either weren't disclosed or didn't have a way to opt out, but I'm very nervous about the slingshot effect of this, or the backlash that happens, and what if any regulation they suddenly put in place. Like Zuckerberg was talking about, oh yeah, we'll self-regulate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
I trust that.
Yeah.
Or we want the government to step in and regulate. And you know what happens whenever the government steps in to regulate anything, they wind up hurting more than they help.
Think about it. What business do they have to keep records of your phone calls?
Well, you give
They-
permission. It's their business. But I'll tell you
No,
this,
wait.
guys.
I mean, it's a
Oh,
trick
wait.
question, because they said we connect people. We help you connect. I'm already connected. I talk to the person. Stay out of it.
That's not the point. I mean, that's Amnon. Don't be naive.
Well, I know. I mean, I'm trying to make a point.
Well, you're not, because they are so about what they want, not what you want.
Yeah.
It doesn't even merit discussing it, even comically.
Yeah, look into Sergey Brin, one of the founders of Google, and his family, and what his degree was in data mining, right? And that's how he went on to create a search engine. But the side part of that is collection of data. His wife owns 23andMe. Do you know what that is? That's the DNA collection company. They're collecting everything they can possibly collect about you.
Mm-hmm.
For what reason? I don't know.
Well, I mean, but the point is, the whole thing about privacy, unless you are a hermit, you have none.
Yep.
I've said it before. if when you go to the doctor, you sign away all your privacy rights. All these quote unquote HIPAA regulations. It's a joke. HIPAA doesn't apply to the government. It doesn't apply to the law firm. It doesn't apply to other people within the doctor's office. The only people that the HIPAA theoretically is protecting you against probably is your next door neighbor, and they can watch what's going on. It's just a joke. There's no privacy as far as the government is concerned. They know every penny you spend, everything that you do through a bank. If they're flagged, if you do over a certain amount of money, they know how much your income is, how much taxes you're paying, how many deductions, the ages of your children. I mean, my wife went to her annual physical checkup. The doctor's now asking her whether she's ever depressed.
Oh yeah, do you feel safe at home?
How do you answer that question? Well, now, do you feel safe at home is different from have you ever been in a bad mood?
Oh no, I realize, but it's one of the questions that they ask.
So, I mean, it's just, I just would refuse to answer that stuff. I said, if that's conditioned upon me getting medical treatment, I'm not going into this social engineering aspect. And if they ever ask me if I own a gun, I'm just going to hand it to them and walk out.
I got when they first came out with that expanded census. Remember a number of years ago, they had started to ask all these other questions in the census, and I just happened to get the expanded one. So I wrote across with a magic marker across all those pages. You already know this information.
Right. Or just, it might have been better, already answered.
Yeah. But
Unfortunately,
Mike, you're absolutely right. It's the implication of privacy when there isn't any is what makes me so crazy. If just let everybody know what really happening so they can take necessary steps, but so many people have no clue.
Right. So anyway, on top of all of the other losses of privacy, everything on the internet, nothing's private. Email is not private, and the government's listening to every one of your phone calls. Where exactly is your privacy now? If you've got an Echo in the bedroom, there's nothing private in there, right?
Mm-hmm. So here's another thing to take it even further. During an appearance before a committee of UK lawmakers, Cambridge Analytica whistleblower Christopher Wiley breathed new life into long-standing rumors that the Facebook app listens to its users in order to target advertisement. Damian Collins, a member of parliament who chaired the committee, asked whether the Facebook app might listen to what users are discussing and use it to prioritize certain ads. So he went, that's probably a question for Facebook. But, he said in a meandering reply, it's possible that Facebook and other smartphone apps are listening in for reasons other than speech recognition. Specifically, he said, they might be trying to ascertain what type of environment a user is in order to improve the contextual value of the advertising itself. There is audio that could be useful just in terms of, are you in an office environment? Are you outside? Are you watching TV? What are you doing right now? He said, without elaborating on how that information could help target ads. So it's not just Facebook app. It's other apps from social media. And maybe some innocent apps that work with all these companies they're getting the information and passing it. I mean, you can be as what's the word when you're always worried about stuff like that?
Paranoid.
Huh?
Paranoid.
Yeah, paranoid as you want, but you need to think about these things.
Amnon, I've heard this stuff over and over again.
Right.
And look, you know that we can trust Microsoft.
Of course. Sure we can.
Bada bing.
Yeah, of course. So it's just amazing. I mean, it's good that it's coming out. Yeah, it's very good that it's coming out, and people can now think about it.
But here's the generational difference, and this is Nick's generation. our generation is arguing in favor of privacy. Their generation is saying, no, I have to tell more people. I have to be out there. My friends have to know everything. If I have a bowel movement, I have to post it on Twitter.
No, see, no, I mean, no, see that's not the thing at all. The problem, the argument my generation makes, including myself, is that we're too far down the rabbit hole to say, oh wait, my privacy is important now, and it's the God's honest truth. I mean, we're too far down this now. If you want to, if an individual person wants to shut it all down, they can do that themselves, but as a society, we are way too far down this rabbit hole of letting everybody know where we are 24 hours a day to say, oh, hold on, my privacy is important to me. That was 10 years ago.
This actually is an interesting point I was going to make a while ago. Of course, I make no apologies for being a conservative politically. And I was talking to a friend of mine who is also very conservative, very, very smart, very politically connected. And he says, I'm going to say something to you that'll probably knock you out of your chair. I said, okay, go for it. In fact, he tends towards libertarian. He said, I'm afraid that the government's going to have to get involved in Facebook and YouTube.
Yes, I've heard that same thing as well.
And I said, well, I said, without hearing your full thoughts on it, I'm not critical of it. I'm not. See, this is where, this is a political statement. This is where people don't understand conservatives and libertarians to some extent. It's not that we're anti-government. We absolutely are not. There are things for which government is the only and should and be the only provider, such as the military, such as coining money. There are about 3 things that the government should do. And even then, they sometimes do well. Ronald Reagan said it best. He said, the problem with government is it should be here to protect me from you, not me from me. And whenever there are things in society that become a true threat to the freedom of society and the well-being of society, then at some point the government has to step in. It certainly would be an extreme position for the government to have to step in for Facebook and for YouTube, and even Twitter. But whenever they are becoming so politically one-sided and motivated to the point that they are the primary, I mean, more people get their news from Facebook than get it from probably all the other media combined. That would be my guess. And for that's a big responsibility. It's a private entity, and do I necessarily think the government has to come in and take it over? I don't know that I agree with that. Is there some sort of regulation? Boy, that's a slippery slope from the word go. And people say, yeah, well, Trump's in charge now. If he does it, then the right gets all the information. Well, he's not going to be in power forever, and then the left's going to take over, and then they're not going to be in power forever, and then the right's going to take back over. And so you better be careful what you wish for. I don't know what the solution is, but I will tell you that the left is almost always in favor of the nanny state with the government doing everything for them. And for the right to now be looking into the possibility of the government getting involved, that's interesting.
Did you see the story about Obama now is going to be a contributor or producer on Netflix? And that Susan Rice, famous Susan Rice, you know who she was, right? National Security Advisor, Benghazi liar, is going to be on the board of Netflix.
Well, who cares?
Yeah.
Oh, but I'm just saying, is this is
Who cares?
the term that's been coined is the weaponization of what is supposed to be neutral things that are based on what people's likes and dislikes are, how the market decides. Well, the market doesn't decide anymore.
No, they're being spoon-fed.
Yep.
By a not boy. I say John says boycotting that. I'm not into boycotting because right now the left is so predominant in media and in so many things and social media and internet. I need a list of whom to do business with instead of whom to boycott.
Roseanne.
I mean, so they say, great, Roseanne's back. She voted for Trump. Isn't this great? Her numbers were excellent because they attribute it to support from conservatives. She's no conservative.
No.
She's conservative because she doesn't like Mike Pence. I mean, she's literally said the reason she supports Trump is because she doesn't want a Pence presidency. That's not our person. That's not how we should be. That's not how we should be pushing to the front of the movement. But I mean, these people on the right are so stupid that this is what they're liable to do.
I've always, from the beginning of this, suspected that the show is not what it seems right now. That it's not necessarily. Think about who produces the show. I mean, it's coming out of ABC. It's not this great sudden shift in anything.
Well, case in point, my wife's and my 40th anniversary is tomorrow.
Congratulations.
I'll talk a little bit later about what she got
40,
me for
40 years to the same person?
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We were just 41 a week ago.
Well, congratulations. But anyway, she got me a really nice anniversary present, and I was already planning to get her a really nice one. I sent her the link last night to a new car. A car I was going to get her, and she from Enterprise Car Sales, and she said, nope, they're anti-NRA, so she doesn't get a new car now. All because of their political stance against the NRA.
What's the latest on the Chinese satellite on the space station? Is it about to fall?
I was hoping it would hit my plane as I was flying home.
Well, we need to be prepared, everybody. So we don't know where it's going to come down.
This show is really going off the rails.
All right, Spence.
Well, speaking of going off the rails, I've got something that I saw last night that we suspected was going to happen. I've had this conversation with Mike. I think we've had this conversation privately, and I think we've talked about it on the show before, but we've mentioned the group Sinclair before, Sinclair Broadcasting. They own, at this point, 200 some odd local television stations across the country, and they're in the process of merging Tribune into that, which would add another 80 or so stations. They'd be somewhere between 250 and 300 stations when the Tribune merger is done. And Sinclair is for the most part, a pretty conservative-leaning company. Rather, they tend to lean to the right, and they're not unabashed about it. They make it pretty clear. Now, we've said in the past that they should be doing. I've said in the past they should be doing more pushing the conservative message down on their affiliates, because NBC, ABC, and CBS push this nonsense down on all their affiliates. Why is Sinclair not doing the same? So they have sent out a script to every Sinclair station to be voiced, and I'm going to read you through the script, and then I'm going to kind of cover some of the reactions. So it's a 2-anchor script. I'm going to read the entire thing as one person. It starts off, our greatest responsibility is to serve our Northwest communities. We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that KOMO News produces. KOMO is out in Seattle. But we're concerned about the troubling trend of irresponsible, one-sided news stories plaguing our country. The sharing of bias and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish the same fake stories that just aren't true without checking facts first. Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platform to push their own bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. This is extremely dangerous to our democracy. At KOMO, it's our responsibility to pursue and report the truth. We understand that truth is neither politically left or right. Our commitment to factually reporting is the foundation of our credibility now more than ever. But we are human, and sometimes our reporting might fall short. If you believe our coverage is unfair, please reach out to us by going to komonews.com and clicking on Content Concerns. We value your comments. We work very hard to seek the truth and strive to be fair, balanced, and factual. We consider it our honor, our privilege, and our responsibility to deliver the news to you every day. Thank you for watching, and we appreciate your feedback. So that's the script that every Sinclair station across the country had to read, an A-B duo, 2-anchor duo. Now, the internet has absolutely exploded with this. Deadspin has put together a compilation of all of the affiliates reading this, and now there is a call for the FCC to break up Sinclair based on their political leanings and the fact that they forced their affiliates to read this script. So it does appear now that the only the only conservative group in media, for the most part, is going to be they're under attack right now, and it's going to be interesting to see what they do. If I had to guess, they'll probably cowl into a corner like any good conservative would do, of course, in the political realm that we're currently in. So
I hope not.
Nick, look at my video. Here's how the media is reacting.
I mean, I don't know if you've seen the video that was put together, but it is everywhere on social media. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Sinclair deals with it. Now, I read through the script. It didn't seem like it was very politically motivated. It seemed like it was saying, we don't want to report things that are inaccurate. We're going to check our facts first.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, that is too much for the political left. They're not a fan of that, so they're now calling for the FCC to.
Who's calling?
The people on social media are now calling on the FCC to break apart Sinclair.
I hope. I don't know what's going to happen, but I hope that this leads to what typically happens is an overreaction that winds up being the opposite of what they expect or what they think they're going to get. Most people, you have to go through these outrageous things for the average person to finally wake up and who has reasonable ideas and just say, wait a second. The left will basically come unhinged, and in doing so, reveal what they're really doing.
Yeah, now it's because, and it's all revolving back, and Mike knows this as well. We talked about this when it came out. John Oliver did a piece probably a year ago about Sinclair and about how evil they are because they're conservative. And his point was, we have let this grow right under our feet, which in fact the left did. They didn't catch on to this until Sinclair had already owned like 150 stations. So they've screwed themselves in that respect. But now, but now the left is all hyped up. The NPR is writing articles about it. The Guardian, and then John Oliver's piece is being is just all over this now. And I personally, I think it's a little too late for them to be upset about this. But it is funny to see how. I mean, Sinclair's owned these stations for years now.
But what they'll do is they'll fundraise on it, and they will use it as an issue at the election. Even though there's nothing they can do about it, they'll use it to just excite people, to get them to vote.
Yep.
So just keep in mind now. Keep in mind that you're going to be seeing people upset and attacking Sinclair. Even people on the right. People on the right, I guess, aren't doing any research. They're attacking Sinclair because I guess they're stupid, and they don't know what they're talking about. So they're attacking Sinclair, saying that no media conglomeration should own this many stations. Yet, if you look at the radio market, iHeartRadio owns like 80% of the radio stations across the country, and that's perfectly fine. But God forbid Sinclair, owns some stations, and they produce a promo that's not, in my opinion, not even political.
One of the reasons they go after Sinclair, because based on what we've observed, they're not particularly, they don't have particularly strong spines.
Oh yeah, and as I said, they'll most likely cower into a corner because that's what they'll do. They'll push over to the pressure, which is stupid. Now, will they sell any stations? They most likely not, but they'll release some BS to satisfy these people, which Laura Ingraham found out this week. Apologizing doesn't actually solve your problem. It actually makes you the target for more attacks.
She fell into that trap.
Yeah, she's an idiot. She really is. She's the worst. But hopefully they just stand strong here and say, yep, we own these stations and we're going to continue. What
happened?
Well, she attacked the David Hogg kid, and then he said
her attack was just, she said that he was whining about the fact that he didn't get into 3 colleges that he applied to. That's all she said. And then it turned into, oh, you're attacking this kid. He's, this kid, you're attacking him. And they called for a boycott of her sponsors. And I think 8 of them left her show over
And
it.
she apologized like an idiot. Like
Yeah, she did. That was the problem. Well, her apology really wasn't even an apology.
Yeah, but she
mucky.
She addressed it, which was stupid, and clearly she hasn't learned from any of these people in the past. So she fell right into the trap, like a typical Republican conservative talk show host. Fell right into the trap, and has now got to figure. I mean, she's probably gonna get fired by Fox, and she deserves it because she's stupid.
But this what I'm telling you, people. If any of this stuff interests you, you need to read 2 books that'll tell you exactly what's going on here. It even talks about Fox by name. One is called The Smear. The other is called The Intimidation Game. I believe they're both probably at your library for some reason. They probably don't know what's in them. But it'll tell you that this is all is an organized effort by the left. And what they do is they try to pick these hosts off one at a time.
Yeah, and people like Laura Ingraham are stupid enough to fall for it. And then you got people like Sean Hannity, that he doesn't apologize for anything. And it's clearly worked for him. Because, I mean, they try attacking him, it doesn't work.
The Smear is by Cheryl Atkinson, who is a very good,
fantastic
investigative reporter. Excellent.
Yeah, very good book. I'd recommend it as well.
Yep.
So just keep an eye out for the attacks coming up on Sinclair, and just more than anything, be informed that Sinclair is a conservative company, but they're not pushing conservative things down on their affiliates. They're not.
That doesn't matter though. They're guilty because of just thinking something.
No, absolutely. But I can understand the argument if they were pushing, which I hope they do. I wish they would push down conservative stuff on their affiliates, because I mean, you watch the nightly news. The NBC sends a 30-second or 60-second promo to every NBC affiliate that they have to air during the 5 o'clock newscast, saying, "Coming up tonight after our 6 o'clock newscast."
Mm-hmm.
And it's this liberal BS every night. So that's okay. That's what I was arguing, which I'm stupid because I'm arguing with people on Reddit. But that's perfectly okay. Every NBC, ABC, and CBS affiliate has to play a promo for the nightly news. But God forbid Sinclair, who owns these stations, publishes, tells the anchors, read this promo, and I mean, all freaking hell breaks loose. I mean, it's insanity. It makes absolutely no sense.
I would say that they're really worried that it's going to open some people's eyes if they win. They feel threatened. But anyway.
I don't know. Well, yeah, I'm just if you're a right-leaning person, just be aware that Sinclair's under attack and you want to be on their side because they're the only one. They're the only conservative group that owns a conglomerate of television station that owns a large conglomerate of television stations. So just be aware that for the most part you want to support them and kind of stand up for them. So that more of a PSA, but the video is a little creepy. I'll give you that. It's got like 40 anchors all reading the same script. But this is what happens when you have a media conglomerate. They come out with one thing and they say everybody needs to read it. It's called branding. It's called messaging. That's what they do. iHeart does it. Everybody does it.
And yet we can hear the exact same phrase used on the mainstream media that comes out with their 4 a.m. alert when they get their talking points for the day. And nobody's surprised. It's, oh, well, you can exactly the same phrase.
Well, it's so funny because what I started circulating was a link that I saw on another subreddit was the AP does the same thing. I mean, it literally it was a 5-minute compilation of news stations reading the same story, and it's because it was published by the AP in small news stations in smaller markets, and even in some larger markets on slow news nights. They just take stories directly off the AP wire. They do no editing to it, and they just read the story word for word. Now, I don't see a problem with that. That's what it is.
And that's what their intention was in the first place.
Exactly.
They're there to provide that service for smaller stations who don't have the manpower to go out and do it themselves.
Exactly. So, but again, there's no outrage that the AP is publishing is literally publishing fake information they cannot verify, and it's being read by small stations across the country. But God forbid Sinclair has their stations do a promo that they're going to report factual information. And I mean, it's pure insanity. So I'll end my rant on that, but just be aware that Sinclair is under attack, and they're
this
on
is
our
my
side.
point, Nick. This is exactly my point. You've just fallen into their trap. It's all about getting people to talk about it and to try to put them in a bad light. It's all a master plan.
Yep. It's to get you worried and distracted and feel like you're alone in the way you feel.
I'll make this, and we don't need to get, look, if you're a lefty and you're offended by this, we still want you to watch and listen. We're not trying to insult you. We're just disagreeing with you. But it's the same argument on gun control. The left knows that there will never be a resolution to a law that will work. They know new gun controls laws will not work. What they want to do is get them in place to prove that they won't work, so that the only solution is to repeal the Second Amendment and confiscate all the guns. It has nothing to do with, this won't work. And I see our side sitting there arguing, oh yeah, but it's all in gun-free zones. It's all here. It's all there. Look, the laws don't work in Chicago. 300 people killed a month in Chicago, whatever the number is. And they know that. You're falling into the argument. They've got you right where they want you. The fact is, they want all of these laws to be exhausted so that they can say, well, there's nothing left but to pick up all the guns, and then only the bad guys will have guns, because they know that every time one of these shooters goes out and shoots somebody, they're violating the law. Do they care which statute they're violating? They don't care whether it's the one that not to commit murder, or whether the one not to own a handgun. They don't care which law they violate. It's just an asinine argument. And that's probably all we need to talk about politics.
All right. Can we go with specials now?
We can. I was just going to say, I'm prepared. Ready to go.
I'm ready to go if you are.
All right. So, Computers 2K Now specials for April 1st. April 1st. What could that mean? All right. Starting with laptops, we have at Best Buy, we've got a HP touchscreen Intel Core i3, 8 gig of memory, 1 terabyte hard drive for $379. That's $70 off. Office Depot Office Max has an HP Pavilion 15.6-inch laptop Core i5 for $449. That's $200 off. And Staples has a Dell Core i7 laptop, also $200 off for $599. Desktop all-in-ones, we've got a Lenovo touchscreen all-in-one Intel Pentium Quad machine with 8 gig of memory. This is a 21.5-inch screen, $479. That's $50 off. Good for special need places. I see there's a lot in doctors' offices now, and some retail. These all-in-ones. Good if you take into account space and requirements, but you're typically not going to upgrade this. Office Depot Office Max has an HP Pavilion Desktop Core i7 of $699. That's $180 off. Staples has a HP 22-inch all-in-one desktop PC Intel Pentium Quad Core for $359, which is $85 off. On tablets, we have a Sumerian tablet version 2.0 with new easy read fonts. It's lighter. It's only 146 pounds as opposed to the earlier versions. It's $1,249.99, $150 off. That's at Best Buy. New Vision Android tablet 7.0 Wi-Fi tablet at Office Depot Office Max. I'm not. It went right past them. Oh well. Okay. $59 for a New Vision 7-inch or 8-inch Wi-Fi tablet. Staples has an iPad 9.7-inch 32 gig Space Gray for $299. That's $30 off. And I did hear a rumor that Apple is going to be introducing a new tablet specifically designed for the education space. That will be
They did.
Quite a bit. They did announce it?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
The thing I don't understand is it's with a pencil, not with a pen, with a pencil.
A pencil, like
Yeah, that's how they put it. It's a tablet with a pencil.
Okay. Maybe it'll use a real pencil as a
No.
stylus,
I don't know.
right? Who knows? All right, networking. Netgear Nighthawk AC 1900 dual band router with DOCSIS modem for $179, save $20 at Best Buy. Office Depot, Office Max has a TP-Link Archer C8 AC 1750 dual band gigabit router for $79, save 10. And Staples has an Amazon Fire Stick Alexa voice control voice remote streaming device for $39. And I stuck it here in networking because there were so many good things out there that I needed a place to put it. But it is a networked device. Storage, we've got at Best Buy Western Digital 8 terabyte USB 3.0 desktop hard drive for $179.99, save $120. Office Depot Office Max with Memorex DVD plus or minus R 100 packs for $26.99. That's $18 off. You don't need this very often, but I would say keep a sleeve of these around because they're going to get harder and harder to find and more expensive as time goes on, and yet they're still very useful. Staples has an IBM 3090 storage complex, 1 terabyte worth of storage for $14.99, save $25. Accessories, we've got at Best Buy, SanDisk, 240 gig internal SATA drive for $69.99, $15 off. That wasn't very expensive to start with. At Office Depot Office Max, we've got a model 1891 Tesla coil for $579.99. That's $120 off the regular price. Staples has Logitech MK270 full-size wireless keyboard and mouse combo for $19.99. That's $10 off. Monitors, we've got at Best Buy an Acer 23-inch LED monitor for $109, save $50. Office Depot has a Dell 22-inch monitor for $99, save $30. And Staples has an HP 27-inch curved monitor for $199, save $80. This next printer requires quite a bit of space, so keep this in mind if you do order this. It's probably a room-sized device. Best Buy has a good deal on a Gutenberg printer with an Old English font. It does weigh 146 pounds. And $249.99, save $30, and other colors are available. Brother printer at Office Depot Office Max, the DCP L2550DW. This is my favorite format for these laser printers from Brother. $149.99. It's only $10 off. You might be able to find a little bit better deal. And Staples has a Canon Image Class color laser printer for $184.99. That's excuse me, 95 off. 95 off the regular price. $184.99. Home automation and security. Best Buy has a excuse me, a good deal on a Swan 8-channel 4-camera indoor-outdoor wired NVR system, security system, video. $299, save $150. Office Depot Office Max has a special on a German Shepherd security device, $1,099.99. That's $200 off the regular price. Amazon Cloud Cam indoor security camera from Staples is $119.99 for an extra $40 off if you buy 2 of them. And finally, at Fry's, we see they've got a couple of Bluetooth devices that are reasonable. We've got a Bluetooth receiver for $16.95. That's 32% off or $8 off. It works with a 3.5-inch jack or an auxiliary input. We also have a car device, which is a cigarette lighter powered Bluetooth FM transmitter that gives you wireless hands-free calling, USB charging, a bunch of other features for audio playback. It's got a built-in microphone and an optional aux port. Uh, here's a very high security printer shredder combination. It's so secure that your confidential documents are immediately shredded upon printing. It meets government spec Z243.3. It's $3,399. And finally, LG 16X internal Blu-ray writer for $99, and a DVD RW from Asus internal drive for $23. And that's it for today's specials, April 1st, 2018.
Well, thank you very much. So now are you going to go through the April Fool's ones?
Yeah. You like the Sumerian tablet? It's the new lighter version. Easy read one?
Yeah.
From, Best Buy.
Which
From,
processor is it
CRS.
using?
And we got the 3090 storage complex. Now that would cost more to power it than it would be anything else, I think.
Which
Plus the room you would
processor?
need.
Did they say which processor it's using?
Oh God, who knows? I remember working on this thing back in the day, and it would require, you might be able to fit it into a 2-car garage if you had them close together. But I remember coming out with the first DASD string that was 1 terabyte, and it was the size of a Volkswagen. It was kind of interesting. I'm not sure what you do with the Tesla coil. That's kind of an interesting thing.
Lightning.
Yeah, true. But I mean, it shows the plates, like you bring the plates together. I'm not sure what he was trying to, I guess it had to be some type of radio frequency experiment. And the Gutenberg press, I guess people, I hope people were paying attention. This is a good test to find out. So how many April Fool's products were there in today's specials?
I don't know what's going on with my mouse here.
Yeah, your mouse is going crazy. And then the German Shepherd security device, and then the printer shredder. Immediately shreds your prints for high security.
Yeah, that's I can have a shortcut that will save me on toner too, Ben.
That's true. Yeah. Mm. Yeah, but this is to show that you actually printed it and then it goes into the shredder.
Yeah.
So you have to read it as it comes out of the printer into the shredder, because it's the only way you can do it.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. So let's get back to tech here. Now, we were talking about Facebook, and we were talking about fact checking, right? Well, Facebook today, that was last week, said that it had begun fact-checking photos and videos to reduce the hoaxes and false news stories that have plagued the world's largest social media network. That's from Reuters. The fact-checking began on Wednesday in France with assistance from the news organization AFP, and will soon expand to more countries and partners. Tessa Lyons, a product manager of Facebook, said at a briefing with reporters, and she said that she did not say what criteria Facebook or AFP would use to evaluate photos and videos. But they said that they're going to take care of elections and make sure. And I'm thinking, yep, when it comes here to the States, they're probably going to check it with CNN, right?
CNN?
Facebook is going to check with CNN, fact-checking.
Oh, yeah. No, that's
Fact-checking.
factless.
Amazing. Just amazing. Now they're beginning to do that.
Well, didn't Oprah say that you have to find your truth? In other words, it's negotiable?
The thing is, nobody ever said, none of these organizations ever said, yeah, we screwed up. If that's not a way to say, yeah, we screwed up, then I don't know what is.
Well, you got to go back to the whole Dan Rather controversy. Remember that memo?
Uh-huh.
He said, well, the story was fake, but the but I'm not sorry, but the document was fake, but the story was true.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay. No, they got caught. Is what happened.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Can you imagine where we'd be if we didn't have all these um, people hanging out online using the internet to research this stuff? And now, true, you can have fact checking that goes absolutely both ways, like you say.
Sure.
But would we have ever known about that document if somebody didn't notice that they used superscript in the document, which didn't exist until years after that?
Mm-hmm.
That these tiny little things. So thank God we got people that pay attention to minutia.
And keeping on with that political technical line here. This is also from last week. It says the Democratic senators yesterday asked Ajit Pai to abandon a proposal that the senators say would take subsidized broadband plans away from millions of Americans. The Federal Communications Commission chairman plan for the Lifeline subsidy program would force most users of the program to find new providers. But such users could have trouble finding replacement plans or similar prices because Pai's proposal would prevent all telecom resellers from offering Lifeline subsidized service. Your proposal impact over 70% of current Lifeline recipient households by eliminating their wireless providers from the program, leaving less affordable and fewer Lifeline options, while making it more difficult for the companies trying to serve. You know, I'm reading this and I'm saying, Obama phones. We are paying for this. This is subsidized with tax money.
Yeah, I was just going to ask to
I'm
clarify that,
all
yeah.
for it. I think that the way to do this would be to allow and maybe require to some point that every provider, like, okay, if you're Spectrum or Comcast or whatever, to provide some services to low-income people at reduced prices. And I believe that the providers themselves checking on these people to see that they are really low income is going to be a lot more accurate than right now when they give it to anybody, as long as that person can get the government to say, yeah, we'll pay you, providers. Leave it up to, I mean, you know, when was this, and I was not born here, but I'm looking back to when were things like this subsidized for people who can take advantage of it? You know, if people did not take advantage of it, and I mean wrongly take advantage of it, I probably wouldn't have much problem with it. But because you know that people are taking advantage of it, and here we are paying for it, and the people that really should have it cannot.
The thing that we rail against that we don't articulate very well is we object to the abuse of the system,
Right,
not the existence
absolutely.
of the system.
Yeah,
Because,
yeah.
case in point, I think we ought to crack down on improper use of handicap spaces, parking spaces.
Mm-hmm.
Not because handicapped don't need a place to park, but because people are using those spaces who get out and jog into the store.
Right.
And when people really need them, I mean, I have seen a van with a guy in a wheelchair not be able to find a place to park in a handicap lot, and those sorts of things have caused the regulations to force businesses to have 3 times as many handicap spots as they normally need at a cost and at a disadvantage to other people.
Right. It has to be. I mean, it's so easy to take advantage of the government now, and of things like that.
Just watch, if you don't believe it, just watch Judge Judy and look at how many people who come jogging down the aisle in the courtroom are on disability.
Yeah.
And the one guy who was on there, who's had two illegitimate children with a lady since he became disabled. So she says he must not be overly disabled. Everything on him's not broken.
I mean, that's the thing is, I never thought about any of these things until I actually saw it. I need proof for things like that.
Well, how are you going to
When-
get it?
I
These
tell
people-
you, I got it. I got proof. I
Well,
got perfect proof, and I'll tell you how.
And a lot of these people are so good at what they do.
But there comes a time where they can't hide it. And my eye opener came, Mike. Listen, my eye opener came when I went on Social Security.
So there you are. By the way, not being born in the United States, you can't be president.
Yeah, well, that's fine. But
Okay.
when I went to
Well,
the
just
Social
didn't want you to be
when I-
disappointed.
when I went to the Social Security office, you know, you think Social Security, and you sit there waiting, and you see all these young guys.
Yep.
And then you think, wow, all these expensive cars outside. And you know, you put two and two together and you say, what's going on here? Never thought about it until I saw this.
That's my point. We try to tell you people these things, and you don't listen.
Yeah. So
My
that,
daughter,
you know, I mean, as far as providing for, I mean, where does it say that everybody should have internet access? Where does it say that everybody has to have a cell phone?
Right.
I mean, what is this about the government giving it to people?
You know what? You know what? This is
Here we
you know
go.
this is ridiculous. This
Here
is
we go.
2018. You guys are so freaking old school with everything needs to be free.
Yeah.
I need a free phone, I need free broadband, and then I need social security and disability so that I don't have to work. You guys are so old school. I can't be a part of this anymore. I mean, this is
Actually, the UN declared that internet access is a human right.
Oh, are they gonna come with their blue helmets and
Absolutely.
enforce that?
Well,
yeah,
that-
we
they're
are
not-
the
that-
UN.
You know,
Yeah.
that's I have no problem with that. But let the UN subsidize it.
Oh, here, look. Well, that means we subsidize it. No, we don't want the UN to subsidize. We are the UN.
Their money from us.
Oh, look I'm the UN. I've got this piece of paper to prove it. I am the UN. I mean, give me a break.
Ah.
No, but you make a good point, Em. We're subsidizing all this other stuff. If let's just take the current subsidies and roll them into broadband. I'm all for that, actually. I mean, get it out of all the garbage that's in right now, and it's not going to get back to the people. We might as well
Right.
subsidize something useful like broadband.
I mean, I really, I mean, Mike said it right. He said we are against the abuse. I mean, I have no problem with low-income people getting help to get broadband, but it doesn't go to the right people. Maybe some of the right people get it.
I've
But it's
told
being
this story
abused.
before. Back in the late 90s, I was on the indigent appointment list for North Carolina, representing criminal defendants who could not afford to hire an attorney. The state paid me, and it never failed. The one case in particular, this guy he got a lawyer appointed because he couldn't afford one.
Mhm.
And after we went in and did his case and won, we walk out and he gets in a nicer car than I own.
It amazes me, and that's one place they can't hide it. But that's where the public is not seeing it until comes a time when you need to go over there. Anyway,
I got a couple of things I need to talk about before we get done.
yeah, we have time to get done. Go ahead, talk.
Well, I have to brag on my wife because our anniversary is coming up, and as I've talked to Spence and I've talked about here before, I've wanted to learn to do woodworking. I have some tools, and Spencer's seen them, and unfortunately, it's just overly frustrating. It's ridiculous trying to do things without the proper tools. And whether it's true or not, I don't know, but I came to the conclusion it's really hard to build anything credible unless you can do one of two things. Either number one, you're really good at woodworking and know how to use your hand tools beyond what mere mortals can do, or number two, you have the right tools like a table saw. I decided the second one because I don't, the first one kind of comes after the second one. Once you get all the best tools and learn how to do it, then you can use garbage tools and get a lot of stuff done. But having said that, I decided that I had to have a table saw. The problem is that the only one that I would trust myself with is one made by Saw Stop, which is if your finger comes in contact with the blade, it'll stop the blade before it can cut your finger off. It can only push one tooth past your finger before it actually stops the blade. Costs $100 every time it happens, but that's cheaper than a finger. And the problem, we moved into a new house. We've been trying to go through and throw stuff away, and stuff behind me looks like junk, but it's not. It's actually some pretty valuable stuff over there, but it needs to be organized. And to do that, I need to build cabinets and bookcases and la-di-da-di-da. But anyway, so she finally decided she was tired of hearing about it. So for our anniversary, she went out and bought me a table saw.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I say a table saw, I mean a table saw. She went over to Klingspor, and when she left, I mean, this sales guy was just beaming from ear to ear. She had, from what I understood, she had 2 other customers in the store who got in on the game trying to tell her what she needed, and it's pretty much. She got a Saw Stop, 2 3 horsepower contractors, not contract, yeah, a industrial cabinet saw with the long arms, the over. I mean, everything. Yep, want one of those. Yeah, got to have that too, and because they're running a special that you can get 1 free accessory with the table saw. One of the things that's in the package, which is going to take me a month to probably put it together, but one of the things in the package is one of the 2 free accessories. Well, the 2 accessories were this overarm attachment to protect against the blade, and the second one was wheels on to make it portable. And I said, well, the only thing I would change, I believe, is you got the overarm attachment, which is wonderful, but we really need wheels. Oh, no, we got those too. We bought those. Okay.
Did you say it was a Saw Stop?
I did.
It's a hell of a table saw.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. Mike, when are we going to start building some stuff?
I'm
Let's do
glad
it.
you asked, Nick. I need help clearing the space for it. One of those things is
Yep.
I have a wonderful Konica copier that needs to be taken to somewhere like an office that needs a nice copier. The problem is it takes 4 people to move it. It's impossible to pick it up. It's been sitting idle for 2 years. Hopefully it still works. And so when can you help me get it down to Wilmington?
Sounds like we need to get it in your truck and down to Wilmington.
Won't get it. You'll never get it in the truck. We'll have to get a tilting trailer to move it on.
Okay, well, who has a tilting trailer?
It's got wheels. Just tie a rope around it and pull it.
Oh, that's a great idea. I'm sure
I
Don
hadn't
I
thought
can
about that. There you go.
Or you can rent the truck with the lift.
Yeah, that would cost more than a copier.
Well, they do. U-Haul does have a ramp, open trailer.
Yep.
That's very good.
And that's why I saw one yesterday sitting out, and I thought that's probably what we would try to use. And I could probably pull it with my little truck. But
Well,
I hate
I
to
mean,
get it down there and then find out that it needs a lot of work. But it was in perfect working order when it was taken out of service.
Okay, so what you do is you start it and you see that it works before
Yeah,
Nick comes to
it needs
help.
240 power, doesn't it?
No, because of 20 amp circuit.
Oh, we have 20 amp circuits.
We don't.
Oh, yeah, we have a whole bunch. It was a doctor's office. We got a whole bunch of 20 amp
I
circuits.
don't have a 20 amp here to test it. I thought that 20 amp was worst case scenario. I could probably make an adapter, and it would probably work without blowing the breaker.
Yeah.
You have 20 amp circuits in the house.
No, they have to have that horizontal
Oh,
blade.
yeah, but that's okay. You can make, like you said, you can make an adapter.
Yeah, but I don't know which ones are 20 and which ones are 15. And what else is on the circuit?
Chep, just pull it out of the wall and look at the gauge of the wire.
Yeah, nah, I'm just going to try it if it blows the breaker. All I want to do is make it print one copy.
Just plug it into an outlet with an adapter. I mean,
You have a generator, Mike?
I do.
It probably has a full 20 amp.
You know, that's a good point.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even think of that. Yeah, no, that would be great, Mike. We do need to get that down to Wilmington.
Well, I just and it may end up having to pay a couple $100 to a copier company to come around and to tune it up because of the moving and all that. But it may be fine. I mean, you and Johnny, if you'll take it on as a project, you can probably do 80% of what the copier guy would do.
You
Yeah,
need to
well,
change.
we're actually going paperless, so I don't know what benefit it would actually have to us now that I think about it.
Well, it's also a scanner.
Oh, yeah, we do need a nice scanner.
Paperless just means more paper.
Yeah,
No.
just put it
No.
in the bathroom. I'm sure you've got paper there.
We actually do at home.
Paperless means that you throw it away when you're done with it. Doesn't mean you don't print it.
Well, you know, exactly. That's kind of our thing is
Yep.
keeping and
This is-
I'll tell you, that's a hell of a process to get people into. I'm struggling a lot, being kind of leading the charge with some of the tech stuff. I'm struggling incredibly trying to get people around the concept of there's certain things do need to be printed. If I need to take something and bring it to Mike, and Mike needs to do something with it, in most cases I actually probably need to print it unless I have some type of tablet. But then getting people in the habit of scanning that and then throwing away the paper copy because there's no need for it once you've got Mike's contract.pdf. That's the hard part. So I'm struggling with it, but
Well, if you're going to print proposals and take them to advertisers, it needs to be on paper.
well, that's what our solution is going to be, using iPads for stuff like that.
Yeah, to a point.
Yeah.
Mike, make sure you chase all the mice out of that thing before you turn it on.
I've gotten most of them. The other thing is that it's been an interesting week hearing people talk about cell phones because you hear that Verizon, we're better, we've got better coverage than AT&T, we're number one. Earlier in the week, I was watching a discussion among a bunch of lawyers about people actually switching to T-Mobile because, I mean, that's like Sprint, T-Mobile, that's the end of anything useful. But of these people who were discussing T-Mobile on this list, 100% of them said that it was so much better now than it was 2-3 years ago that it was actually worth the inconveniences or the problems they're having for the amount of money you can save with a T-Mobile account. 100% would recommend that you switch from your present carrier to T-Mobile, but avoid Sprint like the plague. Well, that's interesting because then last night, a really good friend of mine was leaving Fuquay, driving back to Southern Pines. He's on Verizon, and I lost him 3 times en route.
I wasn't talking with you last night.
No, I said friend.
Oh, okay.
And so anyway, he had T-Mobile before that, and he said no, we had some soft spots with T-Mobile, but he said I never really dropped calls like this. And so anyway, having said that, the only thing I can say is that it might be worth looking into in your area. The main thing I would do is look very carefully at their coverage maps and realize they're optimistic. Find out if they have any admitted holes in coverage in your area. If they do, remember those holes are bigger than they look. But having that said, it might be that they're becoming a really good alternative. I know that we have Verizon, and I believe, I can't prove it. And Nick, I'd be interested in what you thought about this because it's just a theory. It's not based on anything that I know. But these issues of battery life on the iPhones and even on the Android phones.
Yeah.
Sorry. If you don't have good cell coverage, the phone keeps trying to handshake with the tower.
Oh, absolutely.
I believe that also runs the battery down, meaning that if AT&T and Verizon have changed their towers and coverage has declined, that could be contributing to the battery problems on these phones.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's well documented that when you have to pool is not the word. When you have to what the hell is it when your phone is searching for a signal?
Roam.
No, not roam.
We call it searching for a signal.
Yeah, but there's a word, whatever it's called, when your phone is constantly trying to find contact. It kills your phone back because, I mean, your phone is an antenna, and it bases its power on its cell signal. And if it's got terrible signal, it's gonna ping the towers or roam in a and it absolutely will kill the battery. Now, I will tell you this: our friend Brian, who lives out in Idaho, he's switched him and his wife over to T-Mobile probably about a year and a half ago, and they love it. And if and when I get off if and when the family plan that I'm on ceases to exist, because these family plans are great, and for a while, then the prices go through the roof on them. I'll most likely get T-Mobile because it comes with a whole bunch of free stuff with it, and as long as the signal's decent, we'll see.
Huh? I have a question about cell phones.
Yes, sir. Oh yeah.
So we just after I don't know how many years with the Galaxy S3, I went ahead and I bought 2 used LG G3s, and they came and they look great, and everything's fine. Yesterday I went down to Verizon because I thought I have to go there. And he goes in there and I said, now you're not charging me a penny. I don't know activation or nothing. He said, no, for what you want, we don't need to. He said, we just need to switch the SIM. I said, why didn't somebody tell me that's on the phone? I could have done it myself. You don't care about the IMEI and all that. He said, no. And all he did that. Now, I said, what? He said, did you back up all the stuff? I said, I don't know that I have anything to back up other than, apps and things that I can reinstall. But I said, but you can go ahead and transfer it. That's fine. He says, oh, we're not allowed to do that anymore.
Yeah.
We don't do this. I said, oh, okay. So what is going to be lost? He said, contacts, emails. I said, well, the email is on the server. He says, there is an app that we use, and it's called content transfer, and that will do it for you. I said, okay. So I came home, and I already charged them all day yesterday, and loaded the app, and you put it on both old phone and new phone, and you say, okay, go ahead. This is the old phone. This is the new phone. Transfer. And it took about 30 minutes or so, and it was transferred and everything. And great, it transferred most of the apps. There were some that somehow didn't make it, even though I checked them. But none of the data was there. So then when I was playing with the phone, with the new phone, it came out with LG backup. And it says you can get the stuff from your old phone to this phone. So I said, okay, let's try that. I did that. It took about an hour. The same thing. It says it's going to overwrite everything. I said, yeah, it's fine. It's the same thing. The apps were there, but the data was not. And the data, means like there's an app about blocking phone numbers. The app was there, but none of the numbers were listed. I'm using MailDroid for email.
Mm-hmm.
It was there, but none of the settings. I had to redo it. I spent almost an hour, Nick, on our camera because I didn't have the password. So I had to go and set up a new account and all that. And things like these that you would think, okay, it's going to move it. So the only thing it did for me was actually just copy the apps over, something that I could have done, and instead of saying, yeah, copy everything, maybe I would have said, I don't want this anymore, and I don't want this, which I could have done, but I didn't. I said, select all. But you have to go in and start from scratch on each app, as far as configuring it, put the password, put the settings and all that. So is there a way to do it that I'm not aware of?
Yes.
Well, yes and no.
Alan said that this has a good idea. Get Facebook to transfer it for you. They have it all.
Yes, you can do that. In all reality, yes, there is a way to do it. The problem, what you're describing is that's a security measure. it may not sound like it, but it is. Um, it, even on the iPhone, when you do a full transfer, if you do a sync and restore to a new device, you have to re-sign into a lot of your services, and that's just a simple security measure.
Oh,
so
that's
that you
fine.
don't.
I have no problem with doing that. I mean, I can sign in with the old phone. I can get to all these things, but they don't even give you that chance.
Well, they do and they don't. Like email stuff, yeah. Email typically you don't have to do, but most apps will in fact make you when you transfer them to a new device, have it kind of redo everything.
And if you switch devices, you're going to have fragmentation issues because of different versions of the OS. You may have to update the apps. You may have to go through. One problem I really hate about the upgrades on iPhone is that, oh, great, I just went to iOS 11. Well, half my apps don't work now. And several of them don't have upgrades for 11. So I'm stuck
as a matter
with
of
apps
fact,
that I purchased that I can't get upgrades for.
Yeah.
as a matter of fact, after it finished, it said there are like 30 some updates.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, yeah, go ahead and do it. Now, USS Rover is saying you can get Total Commander for phone setup. For phone, set up a NAS to transfer data. I guess I can look and see what Total Commander is because
He says he's calling in.
Now it might be a little different on Android. I'm speaking from the iOS family. When you back up your phone and do stuff like that,
iOS is going to be better simply because there are less devices to support.
well, yeah.
Yeah.
But yes and no. But also, Spence, think about it. At least with Android, you could essentially do a full clone of your data. With iOS, they just pretty much make you re-sign into all
Yeah.
your apps.
I don't see him calling in. USS Rover, just tell me if what are you getting when you're calling in?
We're about
Because
out of time too, but
you
I
what?
got one more thing to ask before we finish. Two more things before we finish up. So
Okay.
It's changing subject. So if you're done,
Well, I mean, I'm done. I mean, this is. Go ahead.
I need a freezer alarm.
Meaning, when it thaws out.
When the temperature maybe goes above a certain point, maybe it also lets me know if the breaker blows on the outlet. We looked in our freezer yesterday and did a quick tabulation on how much money's in our freezer, and it would be really bad to come home one day and find water all over the floor.
Yeah, I don't know.
Doing a quick search on Amazon, there's a couple of wireless ones that looks like they're expensive because they're smart controlled.
That's okay if unless it's too expensive.
$50, is that too expensive? This is I mean, I've never used this, but I'll post it. This is a sensor push wireless thermostat. It's a humidity and temperature sensor with alerts. Let's see. I'm looking for a range of temperatures.
Damn phone.
It will work in a range of negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit to 140 degrees Fahrenheit.
Well, I would. Okay, no comment.
I don't see anybody calling in, so I'm going to restart Skype on that machine.
Apparently, there's a problem with your Skype.
So
Well, it could be.
Mike, you'd probably want to get something like this that'll send you a push notification to your phone. This is the first. I mean, there's probably a whole bunch of these, but this is the first one that came up. Actually, you may need a gateway.
And I see that it says add a sensor push G1 Wi-Fi gateway sold separately for data and alerts to the internet. Oh,
yeah, this is junk. You don't want this one.
Well, find me one because that's some of that stuff I don't understand completely.
Yeah. Okay. You need a smart thermometer essentially.
I want one designed to be a freezer monitor.
Do you have any home automation hubs in your house?
I'm not sure. It depends. Do I have any pieces of equipment dedicated to that? No. I've got the Echoes. I've got some of the little smart adapters that the Echo can talk to through Wi-Fi. But as far as anything particular for home automation. No.
I
No, that was
have
me.
a poor man's version of a water sensor that I'm very happy with, and it happens to work with the UMA Tello base station, which is weird. They actually have they don't make an alarm system per se, where one that calls in to report a security issue, but they do make one that's got sensors. I think they have a temperature sensor. I have to go check, but they have a water sensor. They have a contact sensors. They have motion sensors, and you can use it. It will text you, call you, send you an email, and then from your phone with the app that they have, you can actually place a call to 911 right from your phone to your local 911 entity that you pre-program. And so if you're away and somebody breaks in your house, you could just press a button on the alert to say, call the police in Apex. But I'll look and see if UMA has it. They don't, like I said, they don't offer monitoring, and you just pay the pay for UMA Premium, which is $9.95 a month, and you get all this extra stuff.
Mike, what was the second thing? Oh, there he is. Hold on a second, US Rover. Mike, what was the second thing?
Well, go ahead and talk to him because mine's different from what he's going to talk about.
Hello.
Yeah. Hi, Amnon and
Hey.
Mike, Spence, and Nick.
Isn't this the first time you've called?
Oh, no, I've talked to you before, long time ago.
Okay, it was a long time ago. Well, thanks for calling. Good to hear you after talking to you online all the time.
But, Amnon, I put in the APK for the Total Commander, and that's for Android. And the way I use it is on my NAS unit, I have a folder set up for downloading APKs, from my computer, and I'll just shoot it over to the NAS unit. On the Total Commander, I go into it and I can click on the LAN Windows, the Windows server. I go to my NAS unit, go into the particular folder or drive and folder for the APKs that I have downloaded that might be take too long downloading on the tablet, because computers are a lot faster than the tablet.
Okay.
What you can do is download it onto your old phone, use your Wi-Fi connection, and send all your data to the shared network or the NAS unit, to the folder. And then on your new phone, same program, you go to the NAS unit and you pull all the information
to receive it. I get you. But will it send the data also, or it makes a decision? Because if it's what Nick was talking about, security, then it will not.
It should, if you have, your data files, and you transfer everything over to the NAS unit and then pull it off the NAS unit, it should put it in the same location on the new machine.
I'll try it.
Hey, and it's a free program, so, you're good to go there.
Yeah, I use Lookout on the Android, which is one of the functions is a backup. That did not have any of the data in it either. So I'm thinking that what Nick was talking about as far as security, that is the case there. But it's weird that they don't. I mean, this is what it's for, and I'm surprised that they don't say, okay, now give us a password, give us give us something on the old phone that we will allow this to happen. And
Yeah, and like I said, I've used it.
did you let me ask you this: when you used it, did you get all your contacts on your new phone?
I don't
remember?
I don't have a phone anymore. I
Okay,
gave
did
that
you?
up. I transferred all the information off my old tablet to it, and just before it died, and brought all the information back. One of the things that it didn't do was, one of the games that I played, it didn't keep the score because that
Okay.
was
All
that
right.
was
Well,
stored elsewhere.
I think
But
I think we're talking about two different things here. Then
yeah,
I
but
understand. This is you. What you did is you did like a backup of your computer, the tablet,
right,
and moved it to and copied it to a new tablet.
right,
Yeah.
and but all the other information that okay, like I had the equivalent of Open Office
Yeah.
on the tablet. It actually, transferred all the saved data that I had, the files that I created,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Okay. Now this is like going to a new computer and restoring the drive. This
Right.
I have no problem with. The problem I have with that data, that I don't know where that data is really stored. That's the thing.
Well,
So
one of the big
Yeah.
things, and this is kind of a tip for any Android user, is when you set up your phone, as bad as it sounds, as you're not going to want to do it, it's going to ask you, do you want to back up your device to Google? And your initial reaction is no, to hell with you, Google. I don't want you to back this stuff up. But when you get a new phone, you sign into your Google account and you say, restore my data from XYZ, and it'll show you an old phone that you can store your data from, or restore your data from, rather. So that's another way to kind of do this,
okay,
Amnon, is to have your
so
phone.
I'm glad you said that because I remember about a year ago realizing that all the passwords and stuff were stored on Google. I stopped it from doing it, but I guess
Yeah,
I guess I can turn it back on the old phone because the old phone will communicate wirelessly. I mean Wi-Fi.
yeah, I don't know how that's going to work now, but when you set up your new LG, when you signed into your Google account, which it requires you to do, it probably asked you, do you want to set this up as a new device or restore it? There was a couple of options.
I don't
Um,
remember.
and
I
one
can.
of the benefits of using Google and iCloud, which I was very hesitant to do, but now that I've used iCloud so many times to back up my phone, it's a lifesaver.
Okay, I'll try.
That's a way to do it. So if you're setting up this phone, you can probably set it up to back up everything to Google, so that when you get your next phone, you'll log into your Google account and it'll just shoot
Well, no,
down
I
all
mean,
your
I
information.
can go ahead and I can turn off that phone. I can actually move the SIM back to the old phone because that's what the guy did, and turn it on, and it should back up everything that's there on that phone. And
Yeah,
then
I'm not sure how I think that I don't know how long of a process it is. I think it's a slow upload.
yeah,
But yeah,
I'm in no
that's
rush.
definitely a way to do it.
Yeah, I mean
And
the
then you
old
just
phone, my
you would
old phone is
restore. You would put your LG, put it back to factory default,
mm-hmm.
and then set it up again as if it was a new device.
Yeah. All
And
right, I'll try.
okay, I'm looking here on Total Commander right now, and if you go into the file system root, and then go into your shared, your LAN window shares, and on your one side of the screen you mark all your folders and transfer them over. I think that will copy everything, including possibly your saved passwords and information like that.
Well,
I'm not a
I can try and just back it up and see what's in there because we're not comparing apples to apples here. We're
You are
comparing what?
using an Android tablet. You're using an Android phone. It's the same thing.
Well, no, but I mean, the tablet does not have this type of data. Your
No,
email,
it absolutely does. It's all the same. It's Android. It's the tablet OS is the exact same thing as the phone OS. It's the same thing.
but the tablet. You're not talking on the tablet.
There's a whole bunch of the tablets still have dialers.
This particular tablet does have the option to put in a phone SIM.
Yeah.
Oh, and do you
Yeah.
have phone numbers on it?
No, I don't use the tablet for that reason. I use it kind of like a little mobile computer, you know, because it doesn't leave the house.
Okay.
I use it, example, earlier I was listening to the show on the tablet because I was watching a YouTube live stream on my laptop.
Mm-hmm.
When it went off the air, I switched back to the computer.
All right.
I kind of use it as a backup device, in that aspect.
Okay, I can try and back it up and see what's there.
And as the old saying, nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Right.
Yep. And as John is saying, Samsung has an app called Smart Switch.
Yeah, I saw that.
I don't know if that works, but typically those apps are for Samsung to Samsung, or
Samsung,
LG to LG.
Yeah.
Again, another one of the, and I'm not poo-pooing on Android, but that's another disadvantage of Android is it's not with iOS. There's one backup utility, and it backups to every other iPhone. I mean, everybody's got their own little fragmented things in Android, and now you're experiencing how much of a pain it is just to do something so simple. You don't even have a lot of data.
Right.
I mean, you have a very minuscule amount of stuff.
Right.
Well, I'm gonna call it. You guys have a happy Easter, and I'll talk to you later.
You have a happy Easter too. Thank
All
you.
right, bye-bye.
Thanks for the call. Bye. All right. So I also the downside of that was that I found out that, thank God it was my phone. The charging port is not exactly right. I mean, I was playing with it yesterday when I was doing all that while it was charging, and I keep hearing that beep, 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 beep. And then I realized that the connection there is not good. So I wrote the seller and I said one of the phones is not good. I didn't hear it, but it's fine. I also thought, I mean, the phone looks like they're brand new, no scratches, no nothing.
They probably are brand new,
but no, they're not.
Oh.
They're used. But I was
They
thinking,
might have been Obama phones, and they were sold for drugs.
But I was thinking, I mean, we go to walk in Cary Town Center, I mean, Cary Village Mall, whatever. And there's, right as you come in through the food court, there's a place about that you break it, we fix it, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wondering, I mean, I was thinking, but, go by there and say, guys, how much would you charge to fix the port?
Ooh, that's an expensive repair typically.
Well, if it is, then never mind. I mean, I'll wait for the guy to repair. But I thought if it was not much, then
How much to fix what?
the charging, the port,
Oh, no. Go to this guy now.
Yeah.
He's the guy I've been telling you about.
Right.
He used to be called Digital something. He's changed the name of his company. He's moved his office again.
Oh,
He's just a good guy to deal with. He's a one-man company. You're dealing with the owner of the company.
where is he?
He just moved last week over here in Cary at the intersection. Do you know where if you come in on Harrison, exit 287,
Okay.
drive towards Cary, you will cross over Maynard Road. There is a Staples on the left. There's a Walmart across the street where it used to be a Food Lion many, many years ago. It's a really, really big intersection of North, but it's about 1.5 miles from the intersection.
Mike, why don't you, do you remember the name or phone
He just
number?
changed the name of it, but the point was that, I mean, I can tell you how to get there, but if I were you, he doesn't charge to give you an estimate. He'll look
Yeah.
at the phone and tell you what it takes to fix
Yeah,
it.
I know. That's what I was thinking. If it's going to cost like 20, 30, 40 bucks, I would have somebody local do it because the phones are really nice.
Nobody's going to touch anything for less than $35.
Okay, that's fine. So we'll see.
Anyway,
Yeah, the thing, since
ahead.
it's a new phone, you're better off. Yeah, I mean, I would probably get a return because that may not be the only issue with it.
I don't know. It works. Everything.
right.
I mean, it still
Final
works,
thing.
but
We're overdue here.
huh?
Final thing. My wife said I have to ask you guys if you have ever seen one of these before. I've never heard of them. They're called Peeps.
Doesn't look familiar to me. Bring it closer.
It's something you use to clean your glasses.
Oh, I've seen those before.
And what's interesting about it is, of course, it also has a brush here on this end. And when you put it back into the case, you can't see it, but when you put it back into the case, it actually has little sponge pads in there that clean off these pads.
I use the tail of my shirt.
Yeah, but you're just missing out, Amnon.
You gotta see, there's a new shirt that has a built-in lens cleaner on the tail of the shirt.
Wow, you're kidding.
She
It's
probably
sewn
paid
in. It's
50
really
bucks
cool.
a piece for these things. They're new and improved, though. One other thing, too, that's happened we haven't talked about that I learned yesterday, that if you use a Google Voice number, there are some numbers now that they charge you to call. For example, if it's a conference call that uses freeconferencecall.com or one of the unpaid conference services, the Google Voice number, the line cannot be used to call it.
Interesting.
So I went back to my VoIPO line and it went right through.
Is Alan asking us for an email address to send us something?
I sent
think
him
he-
one
I
in
think
private.
so, yeah.
He sent it.
Oh, okay.
All right, we're
All
over.
right.
We're over. Sorry.
No, it's fine. We're doing fine. All right. So, anything else anybody else wanted to mention? I don't think. I mean, I've got a few more, but nah.
I just want to say, I want to say congratulations to my friend Mike Phillips for passing his ham radio exam. I'm very excited about it. I'm very excited about ham
I
radio.
studied for 6 months to pass that thing, and I deserve to pass.
Everybody should take some time and get licensed. The test is very easy. It's not overly complicated, and it's a lot of fun. So,
And for anyone who listens to the show, if you start studying it and you just don't get it, you can contact me privately, and I'll explain it to you.
You have to pass your Morse code key test too.
No.
And that's the speed that you have to be able to key it in.
You can't just say the dots and dashes.
No, whoever played that digital noise, that's how fast you have to be able to key.
Oh, that'd be something. Well, have a good week.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Happy Easter again to everybody in the chat and you guys. Thanks, Mike, Spence, Nick. Good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Katie, and Donna. Thanks, everybody, for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing, back up your hard drive, and update your virus scanner. We'll be back here at 9 o'clock next Sunday, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. While you're at it, follow us on Facebook, like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Nick, are you doing your show tonight?
no, it can be the same show from last week,
Oh, that was a good one, yeah.
we had a gun specialist on to talk about some stuff.
So tonight
missed
at
it.
7, Nick is hosting Against the Norm on Wilmington's Big Talker 106.7. And you can listen on TuneIn. See you next week, everybody.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Telestream's Wirecast software, StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.